Okay, so I just watched Temple Grandin's TED Talk about how she views the world and her special way. So Temple Grandin, she's an autistic person, and she was diagnosed with autism when she was a child. When she started talking and bringing about certain things, she talked about thinking in pictures, and she said to think of a steeple. So I'm in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, steeple. And then she says that when asked to think of things like that, she thinks of multiple steeples. I'm like, well, I can do that too. So I think that with the way her mind works, I think she just sees steeples but sees different steeples, which is something that I can do as well. It's just I have the ability to think of one steeple, but if I was asked to think of multiple steeples, I can do that. And then she went on to talk about another thing about animals, specifically cattle, and she says that she just sees the world differently. So I said, okay. She said that one of the problems with the cattle was there was a flag moving. And I thought, well, I can probably think of that too. I mean, just given a picture, what's the problem? I might not be able to see that the flag, because the flag's not always blowing all the time, and there's other things blowing, but I think if I was there and I was witnessing something, I'd probably figure out that the flag was the problem too. She also mentioned something about shadows and how the cattle might get startled from the shadows and all these different things. And to my mind, I could see that too, but I'm not autistic, or maybe I am, I don't know. I'm probably not. But it was just something about how she was talking that when she brought up questions and how she thinks, I was thinking, I think like that too. Then she started talking about dogs, how they perceive the world through their smell. They know exactly who was there, what time they were. I'm like, well, of course they know. They have more sensory receptors in their nose, and their brain's more wired for visual and auditory senses. Just because they don't speak to us doesn't mean they're not getting a lot of input from the world. So she also talked about how a horse will get beat, saying that if the cowboy wears a black hat, he freaks out. If he wears a white hat, he doesn't freak out. Well, I've seen that with dogs where someone wore coveralls of a certain color and the animal freaked out because the previous owner was beating them. So as far as her autism goes, I think there's a little bit more going on socially with her autism than just with that, because I was able to pick that up for when she was talking about it. After all, everybody thinks differently too. She said, this is how I think. I'm like, well, if you were asked a group of people to think of the color blue, and you were to put, brain receptors on there and it would flash an image, you would have everybody have a different color show up on the screen, because everybody's definition of blue is different. Some light, some dark, whatever. So how I communicate with others, how will I change? I'm not. Simply because people respond differently doesn't mean that I'm going to take the time to figure out what it is. I'm going to talk to people how I talk to people and how I've always talked to people. I think through some time, maybe I might figure out that some people are better with visual aids, some people better with written aids, but I'm not just going to adapt to everybody and bring up all, visual, audio, and all those things. I'm not going to do that. So as far as my writing, I'm not going to incorporate this into my essay writing. Essay writing is certainly not something that I see as a visual. The only time I think of a visual in writing is if you're being descriptive about an object. And I'm really good at that because I can see the object and I want to describe it in my mind. Or I have the object right in front of me, I need to describe it. So I just think that I don't think she's anything really spectacularly special. She's autistic and she's really good at engineering stuff, and I think that's about it. Thanks.